And when we talk about workflow, this is a picture of QuickBooks Desktop. Now, I am not teaching QuickBooks Desktop. I've retired from that. I still know the platform, I still know the software, but I'm not going there. And people ask me all the time, hey, why don't you actually teach QuickBooks Desktop? And I think it's all about the lifestyle that I want to have, right? QuickBooks Desktop is an online, I'm not a desktop platform. And most clients for this, they want you to come to their office to service them, or you need to go over the cloud into this crazy technology in order to service them. It's just not worth it for us, not worth it for my team members to support people with QuickBooks Desktop. So that's why we do it online. So I absolutely love online because I can work from the Virgin Islands, I can work from the Hawaii, and I don't have to be in someone's office. But the reason why I'm showing you QuickBooks Desktop is that I love the workflow here, the illustration of the workflow that QuickBooks Desktop has. That's why I want to start with you guys, because I think this is the biggest mistake that most business owners that I see that I work with, right? It's all about what is your workflow and how do we be practical? How do we go from step one to step two? And this illustrates it pretty well. So, when you first get a client, or you need to actually close a deal, usually there's an agreement or there's some type of estimate that you actually give to them. So you can see here, and I know it's not totally clear, but you have this estimates here on QuickBooks Desktop. And then after you give someone an estimate and they approve that estimate, when you do the work, you basically create an invoice. And then after you create that invoice, you got to receive that payment against the invoice, and then you take the money to the bank, right? The challenge is your business is different from my business, right? And I want to stop sharing this screen and share something else with you. This is the stuff I love, right, Sylvia? When they talk about what I love, and you should tell them this, right? I love, right, workflows. This is a workflow. I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Um, of uh, of a business that actually ships products. That sales workflow is going to be different than my consultant workflow. And what a lot of people think they can do is just go in QuickBooks and start doing what they need to do. No, you need to sit down, right? Let me tell people, you need to take a timeout. Anybody ever been on a timeout? Their mother gave them a time. You need to take a timeout before you start working in QuickBooks. And the one thing that you need to really map out is what is your workflow? And how do things move step by step through your business before you attempt to do that inside of QuickBooks? The challenge usually is people just purchase QuickBooks and they say they can go and do this and get this done. Most of you guys have problems with technical support with QuickBooks because you're asking them a practical question and they can't answer you practically. They can only answer you from a technology standpoint, right? So the difference here is we got to take a time out and say, okay, what is the step-by-step process that I actually need to do in order to have sales? And if you notice here, for this particular business, and no one can ask me for this today, right? Because this is not mine. You see at the very top, it's Biz Manual. If I gave this to you, I'll be violating their copyright. So I can share it with you on a screen share, but I can't give this to you. So don't be like, hey, can you send that to me? Because a lot of you guys ask for my stuff. And I'll always give you my stuff. I can't give you someone else's. But this just illustrates what the workflow is. The order entry, sometimes that starts. If you don't do orders in your business, then this doesn't pertain to you. That's the problem why you can't go ask somebody else who uses QuickBooks how to do something at times, because your workflow is based upon your business. And you got to sit down and go step by step, right? And this is what's challenging for some people, right? Some people don't like to think. And you really have to think through, how is this going to work and how is this going to flow? So this shows you, hey, this basically someone has an order. That order needs to have a step or procedure, how that order gets created. Then maybe it's a point of sale. Maybe someone's coming into your establishment. Well, that's still a sale. What's the step that needs to happen? Well, maybe you give credit to people. And maybe before someone becomes a customer, you need to actually approve if you're going to extend credit to them or not, right? Then you accept the order, then you ship the goods if you have products that's shipping, and then you invoice them. Then after you invoice them, maybe you have sales tax that needs to be remitted. Or maybe you have progress billing. Or maybe then after that, someone needs to follow up on collections. And then maybe you have returns in your business. So I can't really speak specifically to your workflow individually because, it is 40 of you guys on this call and it is me. And I probably want to say that your workflow is different from one person to the next. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're using best practices. So, the biggest advice that I want to give you here before you think about what you're going to do in QuickBooks, you need to outline your workflow. And if you're not outlining your workflow, that is where you run into problems at. Okay? So if you don't get anything else today, and that becomes the challenge between business owner and possibly someone who's keeping your books. What's that communication look like? Right? If I don't understand the workflow of the business, then it's going to be very challenging for me to do bookkeeping for you or to be your advisor. So for all of my people that's actually on a call that has an accounting business, that has a bookkeeping business, you need to understand this process. Because if you guys think about it, you think about what's happening with technology, right? A lot of this stuff is being automated. So when things get automated, guess what happens? People lose jobs. They lose jobs because now the way we used to do things is not the same anymore. So you got to think about, hey, how do I up level my game to be not taken out of the picture from technology? So if you just continue to do what you're doing today, tomorrow you're going to be out of business, right? I was one of those kids who didn't want to grow up. I wanted to be a Toys R Us kids. Where's Toys R Us? They're gone. Why? They didn't see Amazon coming and then they didn't update. So for all you guys who have businesses that are doing this for other clients, you have to be evolving. And the one thing I want to tell you, if you're going to evolve, you need to step into a place where not only do you just do bookkeeping, but you advise your clients on what's the best practice. That's where you're going. And if you're not going there, I can tell you in the next 3 to 5 years, bookkeeping is going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be totally automated. People are going to speak into their phones and tell them exactly what that transaction is, and it's going to post automatically. Got to start thinking about this stuff. But you can't call QuickBooks and tell them how to do something practically in your business because they're a tech geek, right? They're techie. And that's the difference between us and QuickBooks, right? You can call QuickBooks if you know the question you need to ask. They'll answer you. Probably answer you better than I can, but they'll never be practical. They'll never tell you what's the best way to do this, and that's what a workflow is about. All right, so I can't stress enough, Sylvia. I'll take a pause here if there's any questions on workflow, and then we will jump into demonstrating QuickBooks.
No, there's no questions about, well, I don't see any yet. Does anyone have any questions in reference to what the workflow process that we'll just discussed?
Yeah, I think it's a big thing, and I think you guys need to really. I think the one challenge that usually happens is that sometimes you have these business owners who are high D's, right? Highly dominating, and they're attempting to dominate someone and say this is what they want. The challenge is they don't know how to do that practically. And then you have someone who's on the other end who says, hey, I just want to get this done because this business owner actually cuts my check, right? Like, I don't really care if you can pay me or not, right? That doesn't matter to me. That what really matters to me, are we gonna be great partnership? Can I serve you, and does this work, right? I'm not gonna let, and this for all my bookkeepers and accounts on the call. I am not gonna let a business owner push me over. It is just not gonna happen. Yes, I want to serve them. I want to serve them at a high level, but if they don't understand their workflow, it's going to be very challenging for me to serve them. And I've lost in my beginning days many clients because I allowed the business owner to dictate me and tell me how I was going to do my job. And you guys got to be very cautious of that you are the professional and you have to know your game so well that even if the business owner is actually telling you something, you got to be able to stand up and says, you know what, that's going to be challenging for me to do. So iron out your workflows. Make sure that you understand, what I'm talking about workflow, how it starts from beginning to end. If you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to be in really good shape to service clients on another level or just handle your own bookkeeping. And the last thing I'll say about this, that is what business is about. How do we create processes? When I create processes in my business, what I'm creating is assets in my business, right? That I can put anybody in that seat as long as I have a process. When I don't have a process, then I can't do that. My business is not going to be as valuable as having processes that go from A to Z of how we do things here.